We have the meeting on May 13th. We have the special meeting on May 13th. We have the meeting on May 19th, and we have the meeting on June 3rd, and the special meeting on June 5th.
I just have a couple of amendments to make. It was brought to our attention that we're bidding consistent. I'm sorry. It was brought to our attention we're bidding consistent. Under comments of the board members, we'd like to reverse the last two words in paragraph 2. It should be Mr. D'Angelo absent. Again, on the last paragraph in that section, Mr. D'Angelo was absent. And on the discussion, possible action items, we also have to put in there that he was absent. On the draft minutes for the 5th of June, I would like to change the words under action item A from to pass to adopt. And that's it.
Any other changes, edits to the minutes?
I have a comment on the June 3rd meeting, the motion, bottom of the page. I don't believe that requires a special meeting, so I would ask that special be deleted.
Where are you at again?
June 3rd meeting, the motion you made, the fourth line, acceptance requires a meeting, not a special meeting.
I'm not sure of the difference between them, but it is labeled a special meeting on the minutes for June 5th.
Comment?
Anything else? Can you motion?
I'll move to accept the minutes as presented or as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't forget to ask if there was further discussion.
Yes, the motion passes.
Yeah, motion passes. Okay. Approval of the agenda. I think I know of a few amendments. Does anyone have anything? I can, something consent agenda, right?
The consent agenda, yes, not the main agenda, but the consent agenda, yes.
Okay, I also have something for the consent agenda.
Okay, I just want to
Can you please speak into your microphone?
I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. I would just like to pull item 9, bills to be paid, to discuss a new process that we're instituting.
Okay. And this was just inadvertently left off of the special, or the consent agenda, and it's PDR. The PDR committee would like to spend no more than $210,000 to pay for an environmental assessment, closing costs, and the purchase of easement 2024-6. The land is 70 acres of woods, ponds, and an old gravel pit, and is adjacent to other preserved properties. The state funding source didn't approve this property, which increased the township's contribution. However, the landlord did offer us a 5% discount. So as part of the consent agenda, there would be a motion to approve no more than $210,000 for easement 2024-6.
You want it as part of the consent agenda, or
That's how
just
we-
as an action?
That's how we've been doing it lately, so I just put it back there.
Shelley, where did you want me to move? When I pull something, I need to move it somewhere. Should we move it to discussion?
Sure. Oh, you don't want to discuss it, are you
I
talking
can discuss it
during the
now.
consent agenda part, time?
Sure, I can do it now, if you'd like.
Well, during consent agenda, yeah,
Okay.
I usually ask if we're going to pull anything out. Okay.
If there, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question related to the Metro Act and Surf Air Wireless.
Yeah, we need to add a discussion item. It's related to the correspondence regarding the bilateral permit for the Metro Act application for Surf Air Wireless. That needs to be a new item into discussion.
Discussion. Okay, so G. Okay, any other changes to the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda with the additional items.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have call to public today. You will get 3 minutes. Timer in front of you, you'll be able to see, or if you prefer, I guess I can use this one. Keep it civil.
Mark Van Boris. This entire board has utterly failed in their public duties to the township. You have let personal preferences, agendas, pet peeves, and vendettas obstruct your understanding of what Webster Township is. You are responsible for leaving the community blind to risks faced by neighboring communities. You are public servants. You should have been studying, preparing and drafting strategies to defend against these types of community-altering projects, not litigating against constituents, reinterpreting existing language, amending ordinance to inflict unaffordable costs on your community. Have you forgotten we're all just neighbors? Without a supervisor holding the position, all new business needs to pause, to include discussion of amendment language. Shelley Versick must recuse herself from supervisor interviews and the vote. This board as a whole vilified Mike D'Angelo for his spouse's opinion as an independent person and constituent. Meanwhile, Connie Savender has attempted to heavily influence the board, squeeze ordinance amendment language to a specific personal agenda and pet peeves. Kevin Versick called MDART on Peter Stevens during the 2024 election. Ironically, Shelley strongly persuaded, as did other members of the board, Mike D'Angelo to run in 2024 to keep Peter Stevens out. Brant and Connie Savendar had pushed for a list of the most restrictive amendments through SHWEET and the Planning Commission, while also making the Zoning Board of Appeals process difficult for places like Cottonwood Farms. The private road amendment language has not been changed after public feedback. Many have calculated gravel and construction estimates, but nobody has figured in the cost of moving natural gas lines, electric lines, and cutting down the trees. This is driven by a vendetta and the agenda to create an estate community with the highest possible land values. Solar screening year-round is an absurd, subjective demand for visual aesthetics to please the one person pushing it, Connie Savender. Screening requirements for single-family homes are burdensome and impractical in many cases. We are aware of the next steps the board intends to take. Go after small businesses, what the Savendars described as blight, exterior security lighting, the type of equipment, materials, or structures used by small business, farm, and hobbyists, interior modification permits, and endless reasons for the township to cross onto private property. Active enforcement is not desired by the community. Individuals on the board and the ZBA want authority to police the township at will for lifestyles, property, hobbies, small business, and minorities they dislike. Homeowners that don't live in subdivisions or large estate properties will be targeted the hardest. No end date for compliance changes will give the township endless authority to check up indefinitely on the same property. Kind of like double jeopardy.
Your time is up, sir.
John Sharp, I've asked you that you read the Webster Township Code of Ethics out loud to the public.
I'm sorry, sir,
An
your
email.
time is up.
And again, you have all failed. Not one of you is
Time
worthy
is
for
up.
re-election.
Mr. McCord, thank you.
Hello. Okay. So, I wanted to talk, keep it to what you're doing tonight. Private road ordinance. So, I've already expressed my opinion about the fact that it should not be in here, it's on the zoning ordinance, or you can't have real grandfather. What I really want to talk about tonight is the inclusion of, from the attorney about having people in the township who disagree with you about what they need to do with their roads have to pay the attorney fees of the township. I've personally never heard of that before, never seen it in any cases, and I think it's really important, actually. Frankly, if you wind up getting in fights like that, we're already doing something wrong. The enforcement policy. Okay, so, just to kind of go along with Mark. So, this concept's been around a long time, and the zoning ordinance is 76 years old now, and we have never, since 1950, we've never had active enforcement. We've only had complaint-based enforcement. There's a lot of problems with doing that. I'm going to take Connie's example of solar panels. You can't go around looking for problems and even-handedly start giving people tickets. For example, let's say you started with something that somebody wanted to get rid of, like solar panel screening, because we use that one in Connie. So, everyone who has one of those is going to wonder why you're not going after perhaps like the guy in North Territorial who has trucking, or somebody else who has junkyard, or whatever. You're also, I guess that's it. Basically, you're going to risk a lot of lawsuits from what I can tell. You're also going to do the one thing that you should not do. You're going to lose Chuck. Chuck doesn't want this. Chuck has never wanted this. Chuck and I have talked about what would happen if we went to that, because both of us cannot literally drive around without seeing problems everywhere we go. It's just going to make him miserable. He doesn't have time for it. You guys don't have the money to prosecute all of it at the same time either. The third thing, and kind of the most important thing, is you are going to piss off every single person in this township. There's only one person here who's ever talked about doing that. I mean, Jeff brought up, hey, if there's something really crazy, like someone's building a barn on Jennings, yeah, we can't ignore it. Okay, that's different than going around looking for things.
Mike, your 3 minutes is up.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dave Daly, 7223 Mulder. I moved to Webster 5 years ago, even a subdivision with an HOA. Moved to a rural, only 4 miles away from my house, but Webster is a rural township. But the board is trying to make it an HOA. I don't need to worry about what my neighbor has in their front yard or what I have in my front yard. I don't need to drive down the road and see only manicured lawns. That's not why I moved out here. On the private roads, I brought it up numerous times. There should be at least 3 categories. Shared drives, 1 to 3 homes, can be gravel or paved, and it should be 9 foot wide. Maybe as a minimum, but a driveway is 9 foot wide. And 13 foot, if that's what the standard is, 13 foot clear to get trucks through. Rural private road, 4 to 12 homes. It can be gravel or paved. If it's gravel, 13 foot wide. I mean, it's a rural private road. We want to make our private roads exceed what the county road commission is doing on our public roads. Only they're not paying for the maintenance. They're not paying for the plowing. They're not paying for anything on a private road. But our standard is at or exceeds what we've got on Gregory, what we've got on Farrell, what we've got on half of the other dirt roads in the township. If you want to have a development or a subdivision, yeah, it should be paved and it should be 22 foot wide. But that isn't what our current private road ordinance is saying. It's saying, forget what Gregory is, forget what Farrell is. We want it to be the next level. I disagree with that. And you know, Jeff asked me the other day why I mentioned, why I said in the last meeting that the new supervisor is going to be responsible for a turnaround. It's because of this. It's a turnaround. I mean, we've polarized. The board has polarized the township, and we've got to get back to business as usual.
I just have one thing to say. You asked for respect. Give respect back. That means pay attention to the people that are up here speaking and stop, you're not listening. You're in your own world, so you need to be respectful. You ask for respect, you get respect. So just pay attention. It's recorded.
Yeah.
You have some, are you the note taker? Are you the minutes person?
No, but I like to
Okay,
use
you have a
minutes
minutes person, pay attention, thank you.
for my.
Good evening, my name is Jim Schultz. I came to just make a brief statement about data centers. I don't know what your standing is on this, and I was going to wait, but I just want to say I'm opposed to data centers. There's 16 of them being proposed for the southeastern part of Michigan. I think they use too much water, too much electricity, they create noise, and they're in somebody's backyard. My car runs on antifreeze. I don't use water to cool it. Why can't the data centers use antifreeze to cool it? I'm not an engineer, I don't know, but It's an option. And I also like to say that I feel that at this point in time, the horses have left the barn. They're about 3 counties over, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything about that, but I'm totally opposed to the data centers. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sheila Popkowski, 2522 North Territorial. Oh, I got a lot to say, so I'll probably be talking more at the end, but I'm going to start with the data centers that guy just talked about. I just came from the Webster Township meeting today, and they were talking about data centers. They are working on a moratorium. They're actually extending it because they need more time to research. And I was wondering what kind of research you guys are doing, because they are coming. Right now we have over 200 of them coming to Michigan, and they are polluting our water, and I'm talking about our groundwater, our drinking water, our air. I also went to the Lima Township meeting. That was last week about the gas power plant that's coming in. It's not coming in to support the grid for residents. It's coming in to support the data center. So what benefit does it do us? It's going to support them, and it's going to pollute our air. We're not that far from it. They have a map posted that shows that all that pollution is going to hit Webster Township. So I need you guys to be talking about how we're going to protect our rural character, because we care about that, right? I think that's in the master plan. I want to make sure that we're talking about data centers and protecting ourselves, because they are coming. Also, Webster Township today was talking about ICE. ICE might show up at the elections. I didn't even know that was a thing, but they are being prepared for ICE to show up. They also talked about that they're negotiating with the police, that if ICE shows up, they need the police to show up. And they are going to negotiate with the police to have somebody prepared. So I wanted you guys to be aware, in case we have any problems on election day, we have some help. I also want to talk about the PFAS in the water in Dexter. Does anybody know that they've got PFAS in the sewer system in Dexter, the wastewater treatment center on North Territorial, behind the new fire station? They can't stop it. So now it's gone into the soil, and it just showed up in somebody's well. So they recommended that people start testing their wells once a year, and a regular water test does not show or look for PFAS. You have to have a special water test to look for PFAS, and it's starting to show up everywhere. It's in all our lakes surrounding Independence, Whitmore Lake, Horseshoe Lake, Hamburg Lake, the entire chain of lakes. It's in Arms Creek now, it's in Horseshoe Creek, it's in the Huron River, and I just called Eagle to find out, oh, it's not in Independence? We're not on the map, and it's all around us. Oh, I found out, Independence Lake, never been tested. The fish, never been tested. The well at the park, never been tested. We got kids swimming at the beach. We got kids at the water park. We got a summer day camp. We got a fishing boat launch. And nobody's checked our lake for PFAS. It's a little disturbing. So, wanted to let you know. I'll talk more later. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Annette. I live on Jennings. I grew up here, and I just recently moved back. It was a lifelong dream to move back to, wow, land, 5 acres, all mine. I can do anything I want. And then I see and hear about everything that's going on, and it's a little bit, reminds me of where I moved from, where they really had active enforcement. And they said, hey, we don't like these junky old campers out in the front. Everybody has to put them behind in the backyard. Oh, they forgot that there's fences, only 6 feet tall, so they all stuck up along the fence. Oh, can't see them. You gotta put a tarp over them. Wow, that looks great. Big tarp in the backyard. And that's because we really thought citation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the street, which was the township, it was a janky old camper. They didn't have a laws, it just sat there. Finally, community enforcement said, hey, your camper looks pretty bad. The woman goes, oh, I know. I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't have the resources to do that. And wow, they called people and got rid of it. Conversation. Conversation solved the problem. Citations didn't help it a bit. It made it uglier. It made it worse. Caused people to spend money to park their camper at some storage place. Big blue tarps in the backyard. It's nasty. Conversation solved it. Let's look for conversation. Complaint-driven enforcement. If there's a problem, talk to the people. Hey, maybe you need some help. Community. That's what it's all about. Let's try to focus on that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Loskata, and I've been gone for 4.5, 5 months or so to Texas. And I thought Texas had problems. But, I came back and I started reading the minutes and I started looking at some of the videos. And I was shocked. I was saddened. I was dismayed. I can't imagine what all of the folks, the residents, plus all of you have gone through these last few months, but from what I saw, it's been horrible and tense, and there's been so much anger and so much unhappiness and so many hurt feelings. I don't have a solution other than I'd like to piggyback on the previous speaker and say some conversation, some coming together, something. We're all here. I think as a citizen, my responsibility is to work with you and to try to support you and to try to understand the decisions that you're making. I don't want to fight, but I think a lot of people feel they have rights to stick up for, and I understand that. I don't even understand all the issues as well as a lot of these folks do, but I'm trying to learn. I just would like so much to have some harmony. I think you folks have to be unhappy. These folks are unhappy. It's a shame. And so if I can do something to help or support, I would like to volunteer. Just tell me what that would be. And Sri, it's good to see you. I'm sorry about what happened. You were very helpful to me. So anyway, thank you. Thank you.
I'm here tonight to offer, I watched a video of June 3rd's meeting. That was a disgrace. First of all, I'd like to introduce, my parents were, my dad was a World War II decorated hero. And he was a Democrat his whole life. And my mom was a Rosie the Riveter and worked at the Ford plant during World War II. And raised 8 children and was a lifelong Republican. I grew up with 2 independent, strong-thinking parents that led me to maybe appreciate knowledge as power and education as a good thing. When something, a simple thing they said is when somebody's pointing the finger at you, there's 4 fingers pointing back at themselves. And what I witnessed with my eyes and hearing was that there was accusations, but I couldn't hear accusations of anything substantial. I found that the board seemed obsessed with keeping Sri. My dad was on the zoning board in Webster Township, and part of the commission, and I'm not unfamiliar with government and former federal employee. Everybody's replaceable. And we usually, with my tax dollars, I like that replaceability at a better price. And I think we can do it with a local resident in our township. I don't know her at all, don't know just know that it's a replaceable position. We all are in replaceable positions. And I didn't hear anything specific that was actually done wrong. What I heard was a smear campaign that was pointing back at somebody, and it made me wonder if the board doesn't want accountability for some of the things that it's trying to pull over on the residents. And when the knowledge was presented simply, there was no forced coercion of anybody, the knowledge was presented, I believe the board was uncomfortable with that. And it was kind of obvious when I listened to your responses that it was somehow so upsetting that we can't replace somebody or change something or be willing to work with your residents whom I believe all want this township to be a place where we can live as neighbors, get along, discuss differences, not get over policing, which I believe Shelley Verks is the one that you viciously attacked a farm for no reason. I mean, it wasn't harming anybody, and a personal vendetta is not what small government is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be where the community works together for one another. I think it was highly unprofessional. There should be no vote by this board. I think you should all be replaced. Thank you.
Good evening, Peter Stevens, 7500 Trotters Lane. So just a couple thoughts on the agenda for this evening. First and foremost, just to the amendment for the data center moratorium and the high power storage systems. It certainly seems like the board is moving towards approving that. I would just encourage you to do so. As far as the attorney attendance for the ZBA, it's nice to see that the board is taking action to try and reduce legal costs. That's also something residents have been concerned about recently. And finally, to your private road ordinance discussion. At the public meeting for that, I thought that it was very, very clear that pretty much every single resident in the audience wanted no-nonsense grandfathering for current private roads. I don't see that reflected in the current ordinance as written and presented. I hope that the board in their discussion of next steps will take some of the input that residents were willing to offer and take them to heart. Because everybody in that room was saying, change this, grandfather private roads. Now the only way you can do that realistically is some board members have even suggested is by putting that directly into the zoning ordinance. So I hope that that will be the direction that the board decides to go in future discussions with that. And finally, people are expressing confusion, mistrust, a fear of retribution, all these things by this board. And I know in that situation it's easy to kind of pull back, get defensive, and say you guys are all wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, none of that's true, you all just need to settle down. I think this board should think about the kind of ordinances that are being proposed, the kinds of actions that the board is taking, and how that might reflect to the township the feelings that are being presented here tonight. None of this is just going to be a one-way street. To build trust, there is going to have to be change on everybody's part. So I just hope that you will please take that to heart in your future endeavors here, because we do have a long road ahead of us. Thank you.
503 Brightwood Road. My husband and I attend a majority of your meetings, and that has helped us understand a lot of the way you work and the decisions that you're required to make, the information you have to gather in order to make those decisions. And I would recommend to all of you to attend more meetings so that you understand what's going on. Don't just come when you're angry and disappointed and frustrated with the board, but come and be a part of Webster Township and the decisions that are made. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am back here tonight because I don't like the additional traffic that is being added to private roads, shared driveways. I'm not going to get into that dispute tonight. But people that built these roads 10, 20, 30 years ago, we put in the blood, sweat, and tears, we put in the money, and we've maintained them for decades. And to think that just because somebody comes here and complains, meeting after meeting after meeting, and someone has to take phone calls of complaint, that rule was changed, and suddenly more building permits have been allowed on these roads that the infrastructure is not up for. It is going to crumble. There's going to be major problems. I know someone, I'm sorry I get nervous when I'm standing up here, so my voice quivers, but it's not because I'm scared, it's because I just get nervous. Someone has done a analysis on all of these roads, because I read somewhere about the quality of the roads, and you rated them, I believe, 1, 2, and 3 as to how well they were either built or maintained. I don't know who here has the expertise to decide that, but I know on behalf of my road, it was not built for 6 or 7 additional homes, not even 2 or 3 additional homes. But all of a sudden, that ordinance got changed, that people could get building permits without having to invest in the infrastructure of that road. And somebody used the words, because we thought that it was fair. It's not fair. It's not fair to the current property owners who built it and have maintained it for decades. And if people want to move out here and buy land, they need to do their homework, and they need to invest the blood, sweat, and tears of money like we all did on our roads. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Karen Bright. I live at 3670 Barker Road. I am so disappointed in all of you. That special meeting that you called for the 3rd of June was a sabotage, sneak attack to get rid of Mike D'Angelo. There was nothing on the agenda. If you wanted to do that, you should have had a private, closed meeting. You didn't even give him a chance. You took the comments from the people, and I hate to object to some of the people that said Sri did such a wonderful job, because all I have been problems with the Historical Society. She was not informed on what was needed. She didn't know that certain things weren't necessary, and she was expecting us to do those things. She resigned in November, and you guys did a runaround and had her stay for month after month after month. She came up with a new thing, and all I can think is, you guys did everything to get Mike off the board so you can get her back in her position. Anybody that watches that video, I am embarrassed to say that I live in Webster Township. I went to lunch with somebody who lives in Belleville, and she said, oh yeah, it was on Google. I can't believe this. How embarrassing is that? I moved out of Ann Arbor because of the politics. I had not been to a one board meeting for years, unless it was to be support for somebody in the Historical Society. And since December, I have been to more meetings than I have ever been before. And all I have seen is people nitpicking, going around, and I'm sorry to attack Tony. That is just unfair. You guys have no business being in these positions if you're going to do stuff like that. So be prepared for the next election. Just be prepared.
Hello, I just wanted to voice my neighbor's opinion on the data centers. We're very concerned about the possibility of them coming to Webster Township. The more you go down the rabbit hole of what it's like to live near a data center, it's actually terrifying. I wouldn't want any of my neighbors to be subjected to the noise, and I'm really concerned about our water tables and the water use. So I'm very strongly against data centers, and I hope you guys can move really quickly to try and protect us. I know we may still be vulnerable, but I certainly hope we can come together on that and move forward in trying to protect Webster Township for that. Secondly, I moved here from Scioto Township, so I'm quite used to craziness on the board. I was sad to see this and really concerned to hear about a toxic environment. I wouldn't want that for anyone. We all have to work with people we don't like. It's unfortunate, and I know the tone of our country from the top down has become very negative and aggressive and quick to anger. And I would just hope at this community level we could return to civility for our neighbors, for our elected officials, for each other, and move forward in a positive way and work with people who are difficult and try and make positive changes for Webster Township despite personal feelings and animosity. I know you apparently are in a very difficult place. I obviously don't know the details, but I encourage everyone to move forward from it and try and do what's best for the township and let other things go to the side. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on to a board response to the public.
Shelley, can I get something out of the way right away? This is directed at Sheila, wherever you are. We're aware of the ICE situation. We've contacted, when Mr. D'Angelo was still in his position, we've contacted, or I should say made initial contact with the Sheriff's Department regarding their plans. We're talking with the Board of Elections through our county election director, I believe that's her title, Rena Beige, to help us out with next moves, with plans for this sort of thing. I just want you to rest assured that we're aware of this, and we are trying to figure out what we are going to do given different scenarios.
I have a question, maybe someone in the audience can answer it for me. I guess I don't see in this packet where it says that we're doing active enforcement, so I wanted to get your opinion on where you see that. Because I wasn't aware this board decided that we were doing active enforcement. That wasn't a priority that any of us have discussed, so I was just confused if there was something in the documentation that pointed in that way.
You have discussed it in the past, and from all intents and purposes, it looked like you were going to go with positive enforcement. When I was sitting here, it did not look like you were going to go with passive enforcement. That's why people are saying that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I didn't understand that. Okay. That was my question.
John, you have any? No. So a bunch of questions or concerns came my way from Mark. I think we looked close. We should talk. I mean, some of the stuff that was in here, I mean, generally there was some threads of truth there, but I think there's some misunderstanding. I'm happy to talk to get that cleared up anytime. We can do it after, or you come into the office, anybody. I think part of what's going on, now talking to us, some of this stuff seems like it starts, the anger grows, there's perceptions out there of what we may or may not think. And if that's inaccurate, then that just keeps going. We don't take the opportunity to talk to each other about that. I think it's classic way we get to this point. In this active enforcement case, you know, we've been residents here since 2003, and the complaint-driven enforcement, I've had friends before I ever got involved in doing any of this, they were often frustrated as to some of the picking and choosing of the complaints that got filed, and or they were upset with that if they did file, they had to go testify in court to be able to get the complaint to go through, and a lot of them were just uncomfortable with that. And so the question would come back, it's in the zoning ordinance, and why shouldn't we follow the zoning ordinance? Why do I have to get thrown out to go into court? So it's getting to your point, Karen, I think, you know, from my standpoint, I question it. I'm not interested in driving around looking for things. I never said that, not interested. I do question, though, if somebody comes in and there's a problem that's identified, then if we stuff a form under their nose and say, you got to sign this and you want to go testify in court, or we're not doing anything, I think that makes that person feel awkward, or it has a chilling effect. So to try to find some happy medium in there is the interest. I think it gets to the point you have, Mark. We can talk more about that. Not interested in having anybody drive around and look at things along those lines at all. As far as Connie, Connie's my wife. The reason she's not here, she's been fighting mono for the last, 6 weeks. And she offered that, you know, on these things, you can see this coming, she'd be happy to talk to you also. And or your wife. I think we actually don't live that far from each other. And that goes for everybody. You know, Dave Daly, you can jump out. I mean, we've talked about, you're on the roads committee with us, as things. I think, I understand the frustration, but you've got myself, I'm going to talk about it. And that goes for anybody else. It's not an interest to try to string anybody out or raise frustration on the roads. In my view, the road ordinance as it sits now is very restrictive. If we go back to the old one, it basically shuts down development. And we've talked about this numerous times. This one is trying to address that from shutting down and then do it so that the grandfathering is enforced. So if you're living on a private road now, you don't have to pay anymore. We talked about, like with Mrs. Denson. And she's talked about is to make sure structurally the roads stay the same. I mean, so that's where the happy medium has to come in. But at that point, the people are on the roads. I don't see it. My interest is they don't pay any more. And if somebody comes in and has to do something to the roads, they're going to get asked to improve something with some reasonable context. Not going to go cut down trees. You know, like the long driveway case that both John and Sheila have. You know, we've talked about trying to have a carve out explicitly for that. Not interested in having anybody dig up lines or anything along those lines. And the sole interest is if it's wet and there's a fire and we're only on a 9-foot road and we got 2 trucks trying to get in and out, so one truck's got to pull over somewhere. That's it. We can talk. I know you've talked about that on the statistics. We can talk afterwards. But there's no intent to harm or make you all crazy. It's not. We're trying to find a happy medium on all these topics, and if you don't think that's happening, come talk to me. With it, thank you.
Let's have a meeting.
Anytime. We can do it.
I find it interesting, you already know where I live, and I didn't give my address.
You said
I know where everybody lives. I collect the tax for every parcel in this township. He's a trustee.
No, you are on. Okay. We can address it. We can talk about that after. You send us an email, though, as to where you didn't want us going on your property. That's fine. That's fine. You said you talked about that. At the same time, I think you know where I live. Small township. You can just go talk. Anytime. All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to respond, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name because I didn't write it down. Somebody had mentioned the idea that they moved from a township where they chatted and they were able to negotiate it without having to write a ticket or move forward. Usually we have a report in here, and it might be in here, but I didn't want to flip through it. And the majority of our complaints are resolved without citation, by contacting and conversing with the resident and just figuring it out. So it's not a punitive process.
Yeah, I'm good.
Any other friends from the board?
Thanks, Chuck. have a zoning ordinance, and the purpose is to high level, to protect each other from each other, so that property rights are respected. And we're working on a moratorium for the data centers, which would be part of the zoning ordinance. So you need that to effectively, manage land use. And I don't recall ever having a discussion related to active enforcement. It's always been based on a complaint process. There's no interest, I don't think, I certainly am interested in changing that, so. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming tonight, and thanks especially to the people that had the courage to stand at the microphone. I know from personal experience that's not easy. I am opposed to having data centers in this township, and we're going to take some action tonight. Probably you're aware, but I'll say it anyway. We have a governor that's encouraging data centers in the state, and so we'll do our best to protect you, but we are just a tiny government. I want to give a couple of special shout outs. I think Dave Daly, I think 100% of everything you said I agree with, which is really unusual, but congratulations. And Gene, you'll always be, you and Phil will always be special to me because you are the frequent flyers. You are here when no one else is here, and I truly appreciate the dues that you've put in. And last but not least, for those of you that expressed empathy to everyone on both sides of the table, thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right, then we will move to the treasurer's report.
Excuse me, Shelley, I'd like to hear from you today, and I appreciate Brad and Dan, your comments on not doing active zoning enforcement, but I'd like to hear your perspective, if possible. I run a farm here, and I do feel like I'm being attacked. The list of what I can't do is longer than what I can, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to put food on the table for the kids because of some of the enforcements. And we did, to your point, Shelley, we did have Chuck show up at our farm to check a building permit, legitimate, but you did ask them free to go creep around in our pole barn, and I don't think that's okay. I think that is an example of active enforcement that wasn't requested. So I really do want to hear your perspective, Shree. I appreciate, like I said, Dan, I think it was authentic coming from you, but as a citizen, as a resident, I'm not feeling that from you, Shree, and you're the one enforcing it. Do you share the same perspective, I guess?
If I could make a point of order, first of all, responsive public comment is not a dialogue. It's a monologue. And Sri is not a board member. She's a consultant, and her last day is on Thursday of this week.
So we're saying it's a consensus. What you're saying, Brown, what you're saying, Dan, that's what you guys are doing as a whole.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard anything otherwise, so that's why I was confused.
Okay.
That's why I was confused.
Warren, look, the discussion is not end here. Talk to us afterwards.
Yeah.
Unless you have questions.
It's just what I need to hear. I understand it's not a dialogue, but as a citizen, I'm feeling different perspectives, and that's what I think a lot of us here are confused by, right?
Yeah. Well, definitely, Carl, reach out to one of us, and I can help you figure out. I don't know the situation about your barn, but I can look into it.
Sure. Can I know her name? Can you reach out later?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She can reach out to you later. She's asking.
Can I know what your name?
Tara Andrews.
Tara Andrews.
I have your email.
Andrews, sorry. All right.
Okay. Okay, so treasurer's report.
Thank you. So, I'm sure all of you in the room will be happy to hear that I sent the bills to the printer, and they are on schedule to be delivered for the summer tax collection in your mailbox on July 1. financial audit is nearing completion. We're currently waiting for the adjusting journal entry report, and our auditor firm is planning to present their final audit report to us at the next regular meeting here on July 21 at 7 p.m. The budgeted, in the annual budget that we adopted in March, we had a $250,000 transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. Those funds have been moved, and that is reflected in both the cash by fund report as well as the revenue and expenditures reports. Currently, we're roughly 17% through the fiscal year. And as of the end of last month, we're about 19% through the budgeted expenses for the general fund. That does exclude the transfer to the capital improvement fund. Last but not least, some of you may be aware or may not, at the end of February, Webster was the victim of a fraudulent document. Some criminal made a check from scratch attributed to us and was able to cash that check for many thousands of dollars. The Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department is investigating. I was able to confirm with Sergeant Hogan, but the Sheriff's Department is waiting for the prosecuting attorney's office to review and approve a court order to pursue the case further. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or advice on the elements of the Treasurer's report, now is the time, or later if you wish.
I'm going to make this motion, I'm sorry. I'm going to make this motion because in our packets, you are going to see a sort of a split. We have some bills that have been paid, but we are transitioning to a new system whereby the members of the board will be approving all bills before they are paid versus anything in arrears. The two exceptions to that will be the credit card bill, which is due on the 14th of the month. We never have a meeting prior to that date. And the payroll, which is paid out on the 15th of the month, and we rarely have a meeting that precedes that. So I'm going to move that we accept the treasurer's report and pay the bills as well. And now, pay bills as well as those anticipated bills, which is the part we will be changing. If you look at your table, we've presented you with an invoice register rather than a list of anticipated bills. And this is what you will be approving payment of when I finish this motion. Do you have any questions now?
I had a comment on some of the
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
But we can.
Well, she's making
I'm making a motion.
Yeah, we can do it under discussion.
You want a second?
Well,
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion?
Okay, so on the road, so I guess Tony and Dan. All right, so if you go to what we have here, this is the question we were trying to talk about last time during the budget. So the local road fund has $500,000. So Tony, I was looking, you actually ran a report. When did we sign the roads agreement? 2 months ago? Dan, that was the meeting you were sick or absent. So Tony had run a report there. There's two key numbers that make all this work out. So in December of the prior year, we had a $23,000 balance that John sent me a spreadsheet for in the local roads fund. Our estimated millage is another $491,000. That gets us to a total of $514,000. That's assuming zero interest. If we get a low interest, we go between there and $520. So we took off some for meetings, and our budget with the Washtenaw County is $512. So the reason we don't have $512 here right now is that we still haven't collected some of the delinquent taxes from the county. So if the $491 number was accurate, this should be, so John, when are you gonna get that money back this month?
It'll come in June, but I don't know how much it is for roads.
So the only point I'm making is, I think everything should check out that if the 491 number was accurate, then we should be in the mid five, just under 520,000. And then we're covered for what's there. And then that budget line item, Dan, is just an accounting issue. We're not moving anything. All the money should be there. So we're just expending the funds that were in, that we've collected, and we had from last year.
Any more discussion? Okay. Roll call. Harms.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay. We are going to move to the consent agenda. We can get a motion and then discussion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda with pull-out items as noted earlier.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Did you want to discuss the pull-out item, or did you already?
I think, yeah, I sort of got it in.
The only other thing is that, as I mentioned, the PDR approval for the purchase of the land. Anything else that needs to be pulled out or discussed? Okay. We don't have to do singular consent, do we? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Action, motion carries. Action items A, resolution 2618, ZBA attendance, attorney attendance. This is, at our last meeting, I believe we discussed the idea that we were gonna not require there to be an attorney at all ZBA meetings, especially the administrative ones, but we also, as I recall, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the resolution. As I recall, we also left that up to Jean or the head of the ZBA to determine when they believe they need an attorney at their meeting.
I would like to amend that language either before or during the deliberation.
Okay, so the language is the township council, it's reversing the original one, is that what it is? Yeah, okay, thank you. I couldn't read it here. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I would move to adopt resolution 2018, I'm sorry. I would move to adopt resolution 2618 to define attorney attendance at the ZBA meetings.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
What page in the packet?
79.
So I would like to recommend that we amend the second paragraph in the now therefore be it resolved. And I crafted some language that I'd like you to consider. Attorney participation at ZBA meetings shall be required when items are presented for deliberation. Attorney participation for ZBA administrative meetings is at the discretion of the ZBA chair within the constraints of the township attorney policy.
So that's the end.
I would like that to replace the second paragraph in the now.
Right, so the end though is attorney policy, right?
I think it clarifies what we're saying, but that's for your consideration. So I'll reread what I'm proposing. Attorney participation at ZBA meetings shall be required when items are presented for deliberation. attorney participation for ZBA administrative meetings is at the discretion of the ZBA chair within the constraints of the township attorney policy. Do you accept that amendment?
I'd like to amend my motion then to accept the resolution as amended by Mr. Sharp.
I think I seconded it, but
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering, so you're putting a period after it, making it to where they are mandatory for every time they're deliberating, is that correct?
That's the way I read the original language.
I did not, it's one long sentence to me. So presented for deliberation, not for administrative meetings, and the chair of the ZBA. So to me, it comes out that if they're required only if the ZBA chair basically wants them there. That's how I read it.
So the way I read what's in the packet up to the first comma is what my first sentence is.
Right. That would make them required to be there.
Whether that's a comma or a period, it doesn't change the meaning of those words. It just makes them more clear, in my opinion.
So are you, I'm confused what the conflict is. I guess I'm okay.
I believe Jeff has a different interpretation of the language up to the comma in the second paragraph.
Only requires attorney presence.
It does require it though.
Yes, it says only require attorney presence at ZBA meetings when items are presented for their deliberation.
Right.
So we have an attorney there when they're reviewing a case, so to speak.
Yeah, but then the chair also has the ultimate discretion for all meetings.
Yeah, for any other thing if they need it.
That's not how I read it.
How do you, what is your interpretation?
Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. I thought we were going to have it to where they are not present unless the chair says they want them there. But we're not taking it away from them totally if there's a difficult case and they want them to be there. But we're not requiring them to be at every one, even the administrative ones. I mean, that's been the big one, but there's only 4 administrative meetings.
May I ask a question? I'm sorry. So I've reached out to Gene. As I mentioned at a previous meeting, Gene has never expressed to me, and I've never heard through the grapevine that he wanted to get rid of the attorneys. And I've understood that he's seen value in having attorneys at the meetings. Can you confirm that?
I can confirm that because right after the last board meeting, when you guys talked about the resolution, I summarized the discussion at the last ZBA meeting, and I told them that if any of the members had any concerns with how it's being discussed, they should reach out to the board, because and then Gene and I had another conversation after that, and then he did indicate that he sees value of attorneys when they have deliberations.
Yeah, and the problem is if you're having a deliberation and then you want a legal opinion and the lawyer is an hour drive away, you don't get the legal opinion. You have to have them in the room.
Right. I think because, did you just ask for my opinion based on what I thought Gene thought?
I wanted you to confirm what I thought. I did reach out to Gene and I did not hear back.
I did hear from a different ZBA member that they did want the attorney there during each of the meetings. They actually said sometimes it's helpful at the administrative meetings too, which I guess would be up to Gene. But I did hear, not Gene, a different member say that they did find the attorney very helpful.
Okay. I'll second the language by John.
John, I tried to type as you were saying. I don't know if
I have it typed. I can email it to the clerk, but I can read it again as well if you'd like. first sentence in the now therefore is the same. That the township board will no longer require legal counsel to attend all ZBA meetings. And then the second paragraph is attorney participation at ZBA meetings shall be required when items are presented for deliberation, period. Next sentence. Attorney participation for ZBA administrative meetings is at the discretion of the ZBA chair within the constraints of the township attorney policy.
So if they want an attorney at an administrative meeting, then he just has to. Yeah. So is the motion and the second are still applicable, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As amended.
Okay, as amended, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Shelley, I'm sorry, does that need to be a roll call? Resolution?
For a resolution?
Yes, I think you're ready for a
Okay.
resolution.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Good catch, Dan.
Yeah. Dan?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, next we have the Washtenaw Urban County Participation. I am unfamiliar with this. Is there somebody that's more familiar with what they're asking us to do? I believe that we've been part of it. It does not appear that there's money involved.
Yeah, right, I scanned it a couple times to see what we're
Yeah.
committed to, I didn't see anything.
I think all that it requires of us is just to approve, and she asks us on
Doesn't require anything.
page 83,
No.
that if your community wishes to continue to participate, please respond with the following message. That's all. It would be Webster Township wishes to continue to participate in the Washtenaw Urban County for the upcoming 3-year authorization period covering fiscal years 27, 28, and 29. Thank you sincerely. And I think that's...
Yeah, that's what I interpreted too. Do we need a motion to do this? Do we just direct
I
someone
would
to do it?
suggest a motion. Now, I also understand this will automatically renew unless we specifically decline, both to county and the HUD Detroit office. So, but just to make it formal, I would make a motion to accept participation in the Urban County Cooperative Agreement for the next 3-year period.
Second.
Okay, so I don't need to do a roll call for this then. Oh, further discussion. Okay.
I'd just like to say that I think we should find out what services they offer and maybe let our people know, our residents know what's available through this program. That's all.
No roll call.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Decker Insurance. This is an evaluation of our building, I assume because of the construction changes to
It was
it.
a reassessment.
They, excuse me, Shelby, can I? We had an appraiser come through a couple of months ago, check out all dimensions, the equipment that we have, et cetera. And these are the recommendations that he made. We can accept them item by item. We can refuse them all, or we can accept them all.
I make a motion that we accept all the changes.
I would second that.
Discussion?
Do you want to add a little more context?
Sure.
For example, to accept the insurance premium options offered by Decker Agency resulting from the Mid-America Appraisal Company, March 27, 26. Insurance
I
premium.
love that amendment.
Is the person who seconded, I don't know who seconded.
I seconded.
Oh, it was you seconded with you?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Anyone else for discussion? Okay, Brant. I'll start with you.
Okay, aye, sorry.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right, next we're on to the amendment to the zoning ordinance compliant permit review and approval. As I understand it, this is one of the things that this planning commission has brought forward. It was one of the items that was on the zoning ordinance health check that we had, the evaluation we had them do, and this has been sitting for quite some time waiting for our attention. Shri, do you need to present anything specific?
I just wanted to maybe do a quick update. Last time when we included that in the packet, the board members have requested to provide a red line version of what the changes were so that they can identify what's being changed from what's existing. What I included in the packet was already marked up comments of the existing zoning ordinance. So what you have in front of you is what the existing language is, and I've identified where that paragraph has been moved into the new draft. It was hard, it was very, very complicated to try and do a red line version because the language were regrouped and reorganized, but most of the language that has, identified and it said that is moved to 3.808, that language has been moved to 3.80.8. There might have been minor modifications to how it reads, but the intent and what it's providing hasn't changed much. And in your memo, I also included a table that talks about the current section titles and where that language has been distributed with the proposed titles. There is a summary of draft that talks about, at the last discussion, the board asked for two revisions to be presented with the new draft. One was staking inspection was, the revision included that staking inspection may be optional, but the board directed that it should be required prior to start of construction. So what you have in the memo is how that's been revised. And the other question that comment that was provided at the meeting was that to explain, to clarify when it says the zoning administrator or their designee may require additional information, as what could that be, so that it doesn't leave it open for the worst case scenarios. So I did provide some clarification within that regard. That examples of additional information might be staking ordinary high water mark or affidavits or other documentation necessary to verify proposed use and compliance. So any other documentation would be something that is required to verify a specific ordinance that may be applicable in that situation.
Yeah, this was all, Dan had these comments last time,
John did too.
John, statements,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, and I think the comment about the zoning administrator having some clarity, I also heard from one or two residents as well, as what that entails, like, can you ask for anything? It's not about anything, it's about if there's an ordinance, like, I wouldn't ask for a ordinary high water mark if you're not a waterfront property. So with that, I also included some of the sections were moved, so they were added, and then, if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer. There's some language that has been removed that has been identified in the commented section, and And the draft resolution that is in front of you includes the two changes that were highlighted in the memo with regards to staking and the other fund information.
If I may, may, related to the staking inspection, I think there may be helpful, so we have the option, or the option exists to have the surveyor, when boundaries are unclear, or site conditions warrant further verification. I'm also curious whether we should consider large parcels where the proposed improvement is not near the setback line, that the staking may be waived by the zoning administrator. So if you've got a 20-acre parcel and you're building in the center, I know this may be contrary to the discussion last time, but it's very important on a small parcel or a lot where you might have a tight setback and you're using all of that setback.
Right.
So I just offer that as a thought.
So you are in support of how the original language was drafted. So the original language was, I'm showing the memo again, that a staking inspection may be required.
You zoom in on the tree.
Yeah. But maybe clarifying that it may be required for, what was in the previous language, the intent was just exactly what you said, when proposed building setbacks are equal. So maybe clarifying that it may be optional for large lots, when there's room for it.
Yeah, I think when it's a maybe, there's ambiguity.
Well, there's ambiguity in large lot too.
That's true. I mean, and it can be a large lot, but if it's right on the setback line, then you want to know where it is.
We just had a conversation about a situation like this today with Chuck, and it was interesting because the site plan came through on paper, and the staking was, the location, I should say, of the proposed building was fine. And when he went out, so the staking was waived because it was large and it was within far inside of, the building envelope was far inside of the setbacks. But when he got there, the building had not been placed where the plans that Sri approved, it was not there. And he feels that the staking is important in all cases because of this kind of a situation where you get into where the building envelope might be thus, and they think they're being built there, but the staking ends up being somewhere else, and they're in violation of one of our ordinances, the setbacks. That was his position on it.
Sure, and you can have a building staked where it may show on a plan, and if someone is intentionally wanting to build it somewhere else and does it, it doesn't matter whether you staked or not.
So I got a question, Dan, with regards to, I hear what you're saying, but with what this says, there's really not much cost in relation to it unless the professional surveyor is involved, right? So a property owner could just say, my building's going to go here, and put a stake there. So I don't think that that's, the way that reads, I don't think it's expensive to do it unless there's a professional survey.
Well, this is requiring the applicant shall stake the applicable property boundary. So some people may know exactly where the property boundary is, but others may not.
That's true.
I think, if I may, I heard the concern, I heard the intent. I see where the language might be revised. The one Tony was talking about was the first time we ever came across that situation since I started. That was a very one-off situation, and it's always listed on the permit that if you decide to revise the location, you should reach out to us with a different revised site plan. In that situation, they identified a wrong property line and went off that. So it was entirely on their error. But anyways, coming back to this, so the intent and how we've been testing this out is that if it's a large property, let's say the minimum setback is 30 feet and they are 40 feet or 50 feet away, then there's room for error if it's a large lot. In that situation, we put it in a caution that it's your responsibility to make sure it complies. And even if they have a room for error, because we don't require surveys for permit applications, it's always Washington County plot plan or something that's been drawn to scale. So we leave that room for error. The only time where the zoning administrator, I only have 2 more days left, may ask for additional staking. The reason why we left that in there is that in a very rare situation, it never happened so far, it only happened once. In that time, the applicant chose to move the building away rather than try to get a professional surveyor to stake the property. Because they couldn't identify islands, they're like, I think it's right where we stop mowing, or I think that's where the tree line are. In that situation, and when the minimum setback is 30 feet, and they are showing the building at 30 feet, I'm like, there's absolutely no room for error if we approve it and your neighbor claims that's not where the property line is. We're all. So that's the only situation where we give an option to the applicant that you are cutting close, so you either get a surveyor so that we know what we're approving is right, or you either move the building away to leave room for a margin of error. So that was the intent for the second line. So maybe we can revise the second line to say that where property boundaries are unclear, I guess that's kind of captures the intent. Site conditions warrant further verification to verify compliance.
Dave, you good with that?
What I was asking for last time was that we do a staking inspection. That's the only, I think we should go out and see the site. It's not a big cost.
Yeah, right, so it's now shall, right? Are you happy with the rest of the language there? Bruce?
I agree. It's not a cost. It's just we were trying to make that, the suggestion to make it optional to keep the project going. Because once they apply for a staking inspection, we're closed Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday. And it takes 2 days for us to get out there to do an inspection. So keeping in mind the time that suggestion was provided, not the cost, but okay, so I'm going to pull this out. So we're going to, so there are 2 things that's happening here. So the first part is the staking inspection shall be required prior to the start of construction. So right now, the way the draft reads, it says shall. Is the board leaning towards shall?
I'm fine with shall.
Okay. Then the second line, the applicant shall state the applicable property boundaries, limits of proposed. So that's putting the burden on the applicant to identify the property boundaries. And if the property is small and the setback, just the minimum set, when further verification of compliance with setback requirements or approved site plan is when it's in a very rare situation.
Tree, did the planning commission, when they, I know it's been a minute since they looked at this, is this revision, this is still sort of in keeping with what their intent was?
So they did, the current ordinance requires a staking inspection, so this revision is keeping in intent with how the current ordinance is. But they were trying to make it, they were discussing the option to make it optional. I cannot speak for what the planning commission would think with the revision, but to address your question, this is within the parameters the board can consider a change without sending it back to the planning.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you. I found some significant differences in the language between what's in the draft and what's in the resolution.
Okay. In the draft and everything?
So,
the resolution is the draft. The one that has comments, that's all existing language.
so in particular, and when I find mistakes, I wonder how many other mistakes there are, but I'm referring to extensions. The extension time periods are not the same in the draft language as in the resolution.
You mean,
So,
What paragraph?
can you please clarify what you're referring to as draft? Is the one that has comments?
I'm referring to the document in the packet. I'm looking at only the PDF in the packet. So on page 104, maybe I don't understand this, but it talks about extensions on time limits on construction. And it talks in terms of the board may consider for good cause an additional extension for 6 months. But on page 113, it talks about the township board may for good cause consider granting an additional extension for a period up to 12 months. And so when I find differences in the resolution and the language as presented, I get nervous about what else I might be missing.
Okay, so page 104 is the language that exists right now in our zoning ordinance. And the page you're referring to in the resolution is the language proposed. Okay, so I'm looking at it.
So in other words, the draft language is not in our packet?
The draft language is what's in the resolution. That's the revised language.
This is why I asked for a red line, because this makes it very difficult for me to compare.
I understand, which is why when I introduced the topic, I was saying the red line was really hard to prepare because the language has been moved around. So each paragraph about it that's saying provide with comments as how that's being changed. So that language, the comment says revised to provide additional detail, also to allow additional time for administrative extension. So yes, the current language only allows for 6-month extensions, but we have, based on our experience, where the 6 month is gone, we've made people reapply for a permit just because the construction is not completed in time. So the proposed language is giving them additional time. So that's not an error, that's a change. We're giving them extra time because we have noticed that sometimes people get stuck with a building department for which they start the construction late. Sometimes they do the construction themselves, so that will happen over seasons. And if a permit expires, then they would have to comply with the current standards at that time. So this is allowing them time to stay with what has been approved. So that's the change. The duration limit up to 12 months, that's a change from 6 months.
So when I look at page 103, section 3.90, paragraph C, that's the old language?
Yes. So if you,
And where do I find the new language?
3.90B3, if you look at the comment, that
What
language,
page?
3.90,
112.
right. So this is the language. With the exception of final asphalt paving, so that language has just moved there.
I'm sorry, 112.
B3, sorry. Fine. So yes, that is, but that language is moved right there. With the exception of final asphalt paving, a final certificate of zoning shall not be issued for a structure or into a driveway, a private road. So that is a clarification that I was talking about. In here, that just said access, until the road that accesses the parcel has been constructed, that has been revised to clarify that it's a driveway or a private road that accesses the parcel.
Help me understand the reference to asphalt paving.
It is only if they provide, if they have asphalt paving. The only time I've ever applied that clause was for St. Joe's parking lot, the phase expansion. They completed all the interior building renovations and everything outside, but they couldn't complete the asphalt because the asphalt plant closed. So that clause allowed me to provide them temporary certificate of occupancy so they can use the interior and then give them the final after they were able to complete the asphalt paving.
And help me understand why there's a reference to the road commission. We're talking about private roads and driveways.
I think we just carried that over from the existing standard. But however, in the reference, why do we have reference to the Washington County Road Commission? Sometimes if your proposed driveway from your development or from your commercial development or a residential development is connecting to a Washington County Road Commission, they have to approve the driveway permit. And they have the authority to regulate whether it's being built to standards within the right of way. So that's why there's a reference to them, that you may not have paved the road, but at least, you know, that can be deferred as well. Typically, those are the Washington County Road Commission is also involved in reviewing an access.
On page 105, section 1, I think there's a typo, I'm not sure. The first word. Repeal.
Page 105. Where? Oh, repeal. Repeal.
And my last comment is, who signs in lieu of this supervisor?
That is on our agenda later.
Are you happy, Joe?
No, but I'm done.
I'm happy to do one-on-one later to make sure if any other comments are there. I'm in the office tomorrow and day after.
And this is the document planning commission.
With the exception to the 2 revisions we made, yes. Oh, I do want to clarify for the residents who are here, there was one revision that's in the zoning ordinance, that the permit exemption request. I understand there's some misunderstanding that if somebody's updating their basement or doing, replacing windows or minor changes that doesn't impact the building footprint or the height, that we are requiring a permit. We don't require permit for things that are interior or doesn't impact the foot. There are very, very, very rare exceptions, if it's a non-conforming structure, then we might require a permit for interior changes. But other than that, if somebody's doing a basement expansion or waterproofing the basement or replacing the roof, a permit is not required. We just introduced the permit exemption form just for processing between the township and the county. County just wanted some kind of a sign off from us saying that they don't require any permit from us. So the permit exemption was introduced just to comply with the county's request that they wanted to make sure that if you're not issuing a permit, are they exempt from a permit requirement. So that process has just been put in place to provide some kind of a piece of paper to the county saying that, hey, we know they're doing this, doesn't require a permit.
So just to clarify, because I know that was a concern that people brought up, we don't require, except in a very rare circumstance.
If it's a non-conforming structure.
Non-conforming structure, we do not require permits to do changes inside your house.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Do we want to move this? I'm happy with the way it sits, subject to Dan and John. Do you guys want something revised? Go out and let it go at this next meeting, or should we move on?
I'm fine.
All right, so what's our resolution number then?
2619.
So I'll move.
Right? 2619.
It's 2620.
All right, so I'll move resolution number 2624.
As presented with changes.
As amended.
Second.
Okay, it's a resolution, does that mean it's?
Yeah, discussion.
Oh. You already had that, sorry, discussion.
Can the resolution number be confirmed, please? 20.
2620.
20.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Tony?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, resolution adoption of the data center and battery storage zoning amendment. Shree, do you want to give any background to this? I know this came from the planning commission, who's been working on this.
They haven't started working on this, so what's in front of you is you guys have adopted a resolution to adopt the same moratorium as a police power ordinance. What you have in your packet today is the same language that is being adopted as a zoning ordinance amendment. We are doing it in two different ways so that it provides a defensible option. If any data center would wanted to come in, do something, we can use the moratorium to say, time out, we're considering this ordinance amendment. We won't accept the request. There are certain limitations with regards to battery storage systems, which I included in the packet as a FAQ, as you know, because battery storage systems are regulated by these PA 233 Act, and there are thresholds where the individual communities have authority, and there are some places where we don't. So I just provided that as a FAQ in the memo for residents who are concerned about, what is going on, what are the limitations, what can we do, what can we not. But bottom line is, between these two moratoriums, once adopted, it creates a protection so that the planning commission can start the discussion on the addressing the use and how to regulate it, or if to, or prohibit it.
We have a motion?
Tony, do we
May
have?
I ask, I'm sorry, may I ask a question? What is the difference between the page that was on our table this evening versus what was in the packet?
There was a page on the table. Oh, yeah, I know. Tony talked to me about it. So the only difference is the on the title, where it talks about zoning ordinance amendment. We just revised it to be consistent with how we have our resolutions titled. So this one should say amendment to 0811.
We also have to renumber the resolution 2621.
Correct.
We need a motion, but I just want to ask a question though, because I don't see, this isn't a resolution, right?
Right.
Where's the resolution?
It's a zoning ordinance amendment.
Right.
So is this the right number?
Mm-hmm.
That's the correct number. 2621 is our resolution number, and it's amending. We had a long conversation figuring this out. It's amending our zoning ordinance, which is 08-11, and it is a resolution to amend, which is the way we typically have handled this in the past.
But there is no resolution.
This is the resolution. Okay.
I don't see the whereases and the therefores.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, it's on page 121, I think is what John's referring
Yeah, I think we're amending an ordinance.
With a resolution, yes. We don't,
to. I think the language is you can have either a motion or a resolution.
That's right.
yeah, I would move to adopt the proposed amendment to the township zoning ordinance by adding a new section, 12.120 to Article 12, establishing a one-year temporary moratorium subject to an extension by resolution on the permitting, consideration, approval, location, construction, and/or installation of any data center facilities or battery energy storage systems.
Second.
Yeah, discussion.
I'm a tiny bit nervous because we're talking about a moratorium that would be challenged by people with deep pockets. And if we're not doing this according to Hoyle, we give them an avenue, I think. I'm not sure. It's the first time I felt like I wish I had an attorney at the meeting.
But that language that's in the packet is verbatim provided by the attorney. I did not work on this at all. The only change we made is how that's labeled on the title part of it, which is just consistent with how we have amended zoning ordinance. So that's just a procedural update that we made. Everything starting from at a regular meeting is provided and drafted by your attorney.
Yeah, I guess I'm comfortable with what's in the packet. I'm not comfortable with what's on the table.
In that case, if you're comfortable with the packet, it may not be consistent with what we've done, but still we are addressing two numbers which are highlighted in blue. So where it says ordinance number, that would be 0811, and where it says zoning ordinance amendment number 2621. This one? Amendment to zoning ordinance?
Correct. That's on the table sheet.
So if you want to just stick with what the attorney provided, those are the numbers that he asked us to fill in, and I filled those two numbers.
All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Yeah, any more discussion? Oh.
Yeah. Sure, can you insert the line that is on the paper for John's comment? It's not showing on the screen.
So this is what we made internally. That's what the attorney provided. So John's saying he wants to see.
Yeah, we don't have a resolution on the table. We have an ordinance that we're adopting.
We have an ordinance amendment.
I can pull the ordinance that was adopted as a police power ordinance. I think it's similar to that. Let me just pull that just to clarify so that we don't delay this. So that was...
I want to do this, I just don't want to do it wrong.
No, I get it. I just wanted to make sure if I can address the concern, if you just bear with me. I think we amended, we adopted the police power on March. So this was what we adopted as a police power ordinance, which is the language that was provided by the attorney. As you can see, this one also doesn't say resolution on it, but we use that draft to adopt the same language as a police power ordinance. So at least the two documents provided by the attorney, one to adopt it through police power and the other one to adopt it to zoning ordinance, they are consistent how they're titled. That gives you some comfort. Then the board is not making any changes to what your attorney provided. It's just filling in the numbers the attorney asked you to fill.
Can I make a statement, Shelley? According to the MTA, a resolution is just a fancy motion.
Yes.
That's right. You can buy a motion or a resolution.
Exactly. So when we make a motion, it is as good as a resolution in this case.
Yes. And it's been, the draft that's in front of you may not say the word resolution, but it has every item that you typically see in a resolution. It has the intent, it has the Township of Webster County ordains, and it has section findings, it has the effective date, severability, all the language that you see in a resolution. All they did was they were using the word ordinance instead of resolution.
So my comment was that what was on the screen is not exactly what we have on our paper. So which one are we?
We're going with the one on the screen because the one that's provided, changes were made administratively. We talked about it, we were okay, but if you wanted to not change any changes from what attorney provided, the one you have on the screen is what you would be good, which is included in your packet.
Which is the packet. So the ordinance number is 0811.
Right.
But the amendment number would be a different number.
2621. Right?
Correct. 2621.
That would be typically your resolution number.
Okay. I'm good with that.
So what you're adopting is the language, the packet that's in the packet that's been posted online. We're just adding those two numbers.
So dispose of the slight revision that was laying by your table. What you're voting on is this.
Any more discussion? Okay. John?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, next is the setting special meetings for this township supervisor procurement.
Selection.
The selection.
Appointment is probably the better word, right?
Yeah. Did we already determine the dates, right?
We determined the dates,
That's not the time.
but not the times.
And at the time, and should we also discuss the interview process itself? Ideas were, could we develop,
Which is not in the housekeeping. So yes,
Okay.
this is a good spot.
okay, great. Because typically in interview processes, there's a rubric, we ask all the same questions. we score it so it's fair. I was wondering if we would want the applicants to stand outside so they don't hear each other's answers, or if that doesn't matter.
It's a public meeting. You can't.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
We could ask.
Well, we can just ask the questions in different order. So, no one candidate gets the advantage over another, right? Because if you ask me all the questions first, then whoever is, the other applicant can hear all my answers and create better ones, or, I was trying to figure it out.
We also have how many applicants there are sitting there, and you answer one question, everybody answers a question. Now, it still gives an advantage, but you also would then rotate those questions.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, that's okay, so, go ahead.
It seems like everyone's implying that we're gonna have a fixed list of questions, and the best interviews I've ever conducted allow nimble questions. Questions that you might not ask the same question of.
I think you would have, there's opportunity for some back and forth, follow-up, additional inquiry to understand a particular comment or position or whatever. So I think there would be flexibility for that.
Yeah, typically in interviews, you ask the people the same question, so it's fair. They're all answering the same question for you. But if they don't quite answer the question, or you want to pull something else out, or you're trying to help, encourage them to talk a little bit more about it, then you kind of ask some follow-up questions.
The other two ideas are, the Dexter form that I mentioned here last meeting, the applicants can give a speech.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a stump speech or kind of like an opening statement or something.
I like that.
But also I could see within reason opening it up to selected questions from the public. The public might have a question or two they'd like to ask. Now I don't think you can do 50, but a couple might be of interest.
It'd be extremely hard to moderate.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, fair enough.
So then there's two different suggestions. One is stump speech with follow-up questions, and one is ask questions, the same questions to every candidate. So we just have to decide what we're going to do.
Yes, but we're going to have a public comment. I mean, the public could get up and have questions that they like to hear answered that we could then filter through. There's another option.
Well, if they're here, the public's going to have a chance to talk to them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, that's true. I mean, they can talk to them before or after the meeting for sure. Okay, so.
Times. When are we having these meetings? What time?
Okay, so we have what, the 30th and July 14th, if I remember, were the two dates. Does that sound right?
The 30th and the 14th.
Sure.
If you want to be consistent, we could do the 7 o'clock.
Yeah, fine.
And we'll get that posted then. Is everyone okay with that? I'm just sort of taking over.
Goodbye, Nate.
I already had 7 from the last meeting, so I'm okay with that.
Is it working?
I think we had it, like, just 7 o'clock good with everyone.
Yes. Goodbye, Nate.
June 30, and what's the other day?
14th, July. It's the Tuesday before July meeting.
Do we need further discussion on the format?
I think it would be nice if we had further discussion on the format, because I would like for whoever might apply to know what to expect so they can be prepared.
So perhaps a X number of minutes of introduction by the candidate. Go around and then enter into the series of questions. And those can either be posed by one board member, or we could
What was the time?
go around as well.
What does the Dexter form? It's like, John, you remember 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah, 5 minutes is good speech.
Yeah. They have a gong, it goes off, we don't have to do that. Let them know they get 5 minutes to talk, and maybe we can do it in sequence, or they each do it, and then questions come up that we then can alternate them as Danny suggested.
So if I may, the League of Women Voters, when they have this arrangement, they'll have 2 candidates, and they alternate the questions back and forth. They are a set question, there's no flexibility, but so each candidate has the advantage on one question and the disadvantage, and then the next question they have the advantage, and that's assuming there's only 2 candidates.
Same.
We don't know how many candidates. You're all welcome to apply.
So I like the stump speech, that's what the forum calls it. Then are we going to have all the candidates, are we going to have structured questions? Or are we just going to follow up with whatever our individual questions are? Oh my gosh, sorry. But we're going to do the stump speech for the first, 5 minutes, everyone gets a stump speech. Then my next question is, are we going to have them sit like a panel, so to speak? And are we going to have predetermined questions, or are we going to ask the questions that follow up based on what their stump speech says, or what comes here?
Yeah, I would think we have, as following John's thinking, there's going to be questions that are going to come up in the course. You can have some jotted down that you might want beforehand, but I don't think we're going to distribute those.
Okay, so we're just going to, okay, got it. Okay, so that's the structure. It starts at 7 o'clock on June 30th.
So am I understanding that each of us will have a list of questions, or will have a set of questions that we'll be referencing?
Seems like we're not going to do the set.
We could all
You
put
can have
questions.
your own, yeah.
We could all put questions on index cards, and then whoever moderates the meeting, they could.
That's true.
Put their index cards.
Yeah.
But then if something comes up during the, what's said during a stump speech and you want further question on it, that would be on the cards.
So you write a new card.
Well, you could
That's
just
true.
ask it, but I like the idea of the cards where people submit what they want to ask, so you can ask, the question to everyone. Okay.
So, someone's going to be doing a lot of shuffling, because it's possible that the same question will be inserted on X number of cards.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
a little pre-planning may help facilitate a smooth meeting. I don't think it makes sense to have a subcommittee work on generating some common questions.
We could, the other thing we could do is that I can do a Google, survey, and you could submit the questions that you want to answer, and then you can see what the other questions are, and we can
No,
just narrow
we
it
can't
down.
do that.
For the meetings.
Yeah, it's not, yeah. Well, I guess we're gonna shuffle. That's fine.
The clerk's office could collect our questions.
We can collect, we could collect them. That would, I don't think would be a violation of Open Meeting Act. We could collect them and put together questions that are essentially the same, perhaps with a little different wording. We can do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good. When do we want those by?
Midnight. Midnight.
He's making fun of my
Sorry.
deadline. I would like, if we're having this meeting on the 30th, certainly by noon on the 30th.
Okay. Did we cover everything we need to know for the supervisory interview meetings? Is there anything missing?
They're both at 7.
What did I say?
And it's one interview, the other one's
Just deliberation?
Yeah, that's right. Maybe.
selection.
Okay. Okay. direct discussion. You think it's?
Yeah, it's 10G.
We don't have to vote on it.
Even though it's an action item?
It's a possible action, right, under G.
It's not in the packet. That's why I think we need to discuss it, take action next time.
Yeah, there is a clock. I don't know when the document arrived.
That's the sort of problem here, and I don't know the answer. The document apparently arrived on April the 14th via email from SURF, Internet, whatever they call themselves. And we were not aware of it until an email was sent to follow up on, to confirm receipt of that document, or that set of documents. So I honestly don't know where we are as far as time is concerned. I didn't do any research on that, I'm sorry.
All right, so we can talk about this later.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, so we're still talking about it, just 10G. Okay, gotcha. Okay, we need to determine the next steps for the private road ordinance.
I think we might consider postponing this.
Is that a motion?
What are your thoughts, Dan?
I think we should consider postponing.
I personally think this is of such gravity that we need a full board.
I think it might actually be another separate meeting on its own to really make sure that the changes are solid.
So I think it's fine, but the moratorium goes off in 2 months.
September, right?
That's right.
Is it September?
September 4.
Okay, 3 months. So,
Yeah, I don't think it's ready to go. I thought from the public meeting, I had a couple of key takeaways that I thought was maybe worth discussing and then decide where all that falls.
Can I throw out an idea? We have the meeting scheduled for July 14 for supervisor deliberation. Maybe we do that and then we talk about the roads.
Fair enough.
I don't know, but I'm just throwing it out.
Sure, but we don't know how many people we're going to be interviewing and how long it would take.
right.
And then the tech sounded that.
Well, the second meeting, we're just deliberating on the interviews that already happened, right?
That was my understanding.
Yeah. We don't have to.
Well, our regular meeting is that week after that, right? So we can put it off to July 21 is our next regular meeting. At that point, the supervisor will be seated.
And it's fully trained.
I think we need to put it off.
Yeah.
I would say postpone. So move to table. Move to postpone until,
Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion carries.
Draft enforcement policy, first reading, page 133.
I'm just curious what other enforcement policies we've reviewed from neighboring jurisdictions. This first draft box at the top here says we're working on getting that information. Do we have anything?
I would definitely like to see them because this to me looks like a sort of like an informal procedure and not
It's
a
an SOP.
policy. Yeah, it's not a policy.
that's what it was originally, I think.
It's an operating procedure, it's not a policy.
it is an SOP.
Yeah.
And I thought that's what Chuck put it up for, was it's just an SOP.
I think so too.
Okay. So just to explain his process, basically.
Yeah, I believe so. That was it.
So let me, to understand, are we going to postpone this one again too? This is just a first reading. So what we would like to see then is a policy statement. Is that what we'd like to see?
What was the key elements? Go ahead, Ken.
I would like to see what other policies are from various neighboring entities. Have some guidance on what we're doing here.
Be nice to Chuck present.
Yeah, what's Dexter doing, what's Northville doing? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, and then we have some sense. Some may have nothing, or there's something, and then, I mean, I've got many other comments, but I think this is ready to be ready.
Do you want to have Chuck here to present it? I mean, he obviously has thoughts.
What are we trying to achieve?
I don't even know why it's coming.
Oh, because it was postponed from the last meeting when Chuck was actually in attendance.
Right, but I mean, why was it even put into our, if it's just an SOP?
Just as,
An FYI.
Our initial feedback.
just to let you know what is done now.
Okay,
That's all.
okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to really do with this.
No, it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
So where are we going with it?
Yeah, and all this is
Essence.
referral or complaint based, so.
So we'll bring back, I'm sorry. So we'll have Chuck bring back enforcement policies from other jurisdictions. And then do you want him to prepare a policy statement for consideration by the board at that point? Or are we going to do another one when he'll bring your ideas together with a policy statement? How do you want to handle it?
Well, I think it would be helpful to see, as I stated, he's going to try and find other policies or whatever they're called. This actually refers to leases. But in any event,
okay.
And so we have some sense, and whether he wants to analyze all that data and put something forth that makes sense along the lines of what we're doing, that would be great. But
I don't know if it needs to be a policy, but I do think that it should be something that is more formalized. I think that we've had changes in the person who does that role, and they do things a little bit differently each time, and then that leaves questions and sort of inconsistencies. So I think it would be good if we really formalized this and published it, so people knew exactly what the process was, should they get a complaint.
I don't know, almost something that should be right up front at the beginning of the zoning ordinance, or somewhere right away as to how all these things are handled.
Okay, so we will wait to see some examples. And maybe the NTA might have some too, I don't know. Chuck wants to see that.
Yeah, and get his take on where he thinks changes should be needed or not needed.
Right.
Be nice to have him here to talk about how he goes about doing stuff too, because obviously some people are concerned.
Right. Okay. Okay, determining our approach to procure zoning and planning services is next.
It's discussion, right? So,
Discussion.
I mean, last time we did this, we put together a committee. There's been interest, I think, for having, I would say, 2 planning commission members on it, 2 ZBA members, and 1 or 2 board members. We some RFPs, and figure out what we're gonna need.
Do we want to leave it to the planning commission and the ZBA to determine who those 2 members of each will be and to report it to the clerk?
I would think so.
Okay, do we want to decide who the board members are now?
I think that the committee is maybe step 3.
Okay.
I think step 1 is, what are we gonna do next week?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think step 2 is, what is the structure that we're gonna create while we're doing triage? And that structure has to come from us at this table. And then we send that structure to the committee to decide how to fulfill that structure.
Yeah, I agree, because right now business stops next Monday or this Thursday. Is that in the interest of keeping business going, the entire discussion that we had, there was concerns about zoning administration function, needing more hours, generally at the highest level. There wasn't a concern with planning, in fact, I think our planning skills, streets planning skills were recommended across the board. We have, big time ordinances changes coming up. If we go through the, as John says, step 3, we'll be months out before we're back up and running. That's the concern that we're going to be.
We need to figure out how to issue a permit in 2 weeks, Somebody's got to be able to issue a permit.
Yeah, so all right, so we can talk about this however you want. We can start with step 1 and then go to step 2 if you want. And I thought step 1, some of the folks in the building that had interest, Paul Zaluk is here. He has done this in the past. And if he's interested in helping to keep the permits moving next week, is one option. At least it keeps the lights on.
Yeah, there's also a piece of paper here asking if Chuck can continue to sign off on footing inspections for existing permits, if he can sign off on final inspections, and at least temporarily sign final zoning where there's no problems that exist. So some pieces of the puzzle that maybe Chuck would take on.
You think the zoning ordinance allows that?
Well, the 1 and 2 I read said that he was continuing to do that, so.
Where is that listed?
It's somebody
It's
else's.
not somebody else's.
It's somebody else's designee, though.
Yeah.
If I may. So Chuck does the inspections, but then I'm the one who signs off on the permit that the inspection has been completed. He comes back, shares his findings, and then the final zoning inspection, I sign off. And with regards to, I'm sorry, I might be speaking out of turn.
Please.
The zoning administrator, the ordinance defines is somebody who is appointed by the board. So if you want somebody to start doing zoning administration next week, they should be formally appointed by the board. And then with regards to section 3.30 talks about the duties of zoning administrator, what they do. That includes both zoning administrator duties and planning duties in one. So that is probably, that's where you would start off with to identify, how you would want to proceed with interim zoning administration or long-term, however you want to address the positions.
Shelley, can I think that is, in my opinion, that would be part of the committee's duties, right? To outline just what Sri said, to sort of take those things apart. That's my thought. To get to John's point, just to keep things, this is construction season. If Mr. Zaluka is willing to review permits, where, and he was mentioned.
No pressure.
Okay, I would suggest that we find a volunteer from the planning commission to review the permits, or rotate that. We do have a checklist that Sri provided so that Linda can, or anyone basically, we can go through and make sure that all the documents are there for whomever the planning commission decides. So we can get that administrative piece of it covered, but the review has to be done by an expert, in my opinion. And the planning commission is where the expertise lies. I am looking at you, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, but we had our agenda put together for tomorrow already.
That's fine. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you my thoughts. This is discussion, okay? So all I'm saying is that thanks to Sri, we have a checklist. We can determine if these permits are, or these applications are complete and to be accepted. We need the board to step in and say who will, in the interim, be the reviewer, and then they'll sign off on the permit. Send it to the next step, which is what? The inspections and...
Right. Everything in section 3.30, so the definition in the ordinance says, any persons or firm appointed by the township board by resolution to administer provisions of this ordinance. That's how the authority is. By resolution or by some kind of a motion in a public meeting.
Any planning commissioners in the audience want to volunteer?
For reviewing zoning permit applications.
Mr. Kingsley is
For a
also...
part-time job.
Mr. Kingsley is also...
I nominate John Kingsley.
John's done it in the past. John's done it in the past, we've had other.
Oh, I know, yeah, he would also. Nobody's jumping
I
out.
don't think we're gonna fill that tonight, but it's the first thing that we need to do.
You are correct.
As far as the ZBA and planning commission, for step number 3, do we want to direct the ZBA and planning commission to put that on their agenda to pick 2 members? I know it's tomorrow, so I don't know if it's too soon to put it on that agenda, but
We
you know, we have to
agenda, that's not far. Yeah,
we have to move fast, right? Okay. I still have this question on the meantime. Can Chuck continue to sign off on footing inspections for existing permits and sign off, well, on final inspections, we won't have to worry about that if we get somebody in that position quickly. Okay, I'm gonna keep that note on there though.
This was just an...
Yeah, once the new supervisor is appointed, they can assist with that process also.
Right, for sure.
With the inspection,
With much of the permitting, I thought,
if you appoint him to do the permit, the board has to appoint, give authority, provide that authority to the supervisor. The ordinance.
yeah, so that's a topic, that's an agenda item for that July 14th meeting. Potentially. We'll seat it in a supervisor at that point.
Yeah.
And then we can discuss when to then appoint them to do the permitting.
Sounds like an interview question.
They also will be able to appoint a deputy. So if there's another, maybe will help.
Okay. Housekeeping, we have, it's 9:25, do we need a break or are we gonna power through? Okay. We have a list of super immediate sort of housekeeping things that we need. I have it in my hand.
It was on your table.
I know that.
It looks like this.
I know that.
I know you haven't.
Things that need to be done in the more immediate future so that we can keep township business rolling.
So I'll start with the LASA representative. We can wait.
Okay.
I think LASA's at full, or was at full strength. I know SIO had filled some, they had some empty positions. They filled them, I believe. So I think we're all set. We can go without one position.
Appointment of the project manager, I am assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, that this was the role that Rick Kleinschmidt was playing in terms of the construction?
Yes.
Can we just appoint Rick Kleinschmidt to do it?
If he's willing.
Yeah. I mean, do we need to navigate the pay for that?
He's in the back row.
What?
There he is.
Now,
Do you, Mr. Kleinschmidt, do you want to continue to be the project manager for the construction project? Yes.
and now we don't have a position of project manager.
Right.
We need to have the board approve creating that position and a salary for it.
We're out.
An hourly, I'm sorry, yeah.
Unless somebody internal is going to take it up.
Yeah.
I would propose that we continue Mr. Kleinschmidt unless he is of another opinion at the rate that he was earning.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
$33.50, was it? For deputy hour? $33.50? We'll double check.
Is that role as a consultant, or is it I mean, what is the role?
The role is as a temporary, my understanding of the employee handbook as it is right now, is that that would be a temporary employee.
We have a line item, 101-267-704.002, which has a budget of $25,750 for temporary office help.
So we have a budget item, but you still have to approve the position. Yes.
Work, yeah.
All right, somebody gonna try to craft a motion out of all that? Is that what we need? Charlie?
I move that we appoint Rick Kleinschmidt, construction project manager, at the wage he is consistently making, that he is already making, was making, and development of a statement of work to be, the scope of work to be reviewed at the next board meeting.
Second. You good with that, Tony? That cover everything? Okay.
Discussion? Do we need Robin?
Yeah, roll call.
Roll call is money, right?
Yeah, right.
Dan?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We need to appoint a facilities security manager.
What is that?
I don't know. It's on the list. Is that,
Who made this list?
I made this list. Right now, how can I put this? Chuck is generally in charge, but it was always with the supervisors, okay. I'm not sure how you want this handled. And, yes,
Chuck was fulfilling that position already, but under the supervisor's direction.
correct.
Okay.
What is which one?
I'm not comfortable with Chuck in that role.
No, but you'd be the supervisor, you'd be the supervisor. facility security manager.
What is the expectation of that role? I mean, what,
Yeah, I mean, that's,
We still have some issues as far as I'm concerned, which I'd rather not discuss in a public meeting.
okay,
I
what
wouldn't
what
want
are
to
the
reveal-
expectations that we need done? Or what are we seeking to have done? I don't know what this means.
Yeah, but we need a manager for that position.
say to my knowledge, we've never had that prior to.
It's always been folded in, my understanding, that the responsibilities for for the security of the building was always folded into the supervisor's job. According to the MTA, that is something that should be specifically assigned by the board. I think it was just always assumed. I don't know.
Is it just making sure the building's locked and secure?
It's making sure, it's making sure that the facility, for instance, just for instance, the well went out. Nobody but the supervisor could ever, in an emergency situation, order that the well be fixed. And yet we couldn't do business, okay? That's just an example. We have to have, we can't, because of the nature of our operation, we can't not have someone with that authority even until July 14th.
That's a facilities thing, though, not a security.
And security is folded right into that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for somebody to respond to the alarm company and to be here if the police come, I'm happy to do that.
Could you also authorize, if there is an issue with facilities, you could authorize the repair?
Sure.
Okay. So,
We need a motion to then.
motion, I will move that John Sharp be appointed as temporary facilities and security manager.
I second.
Any discussion?
How did that happen?
Volunteer.
I heard you.
Yeah, see, right in the mic. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Motion carried.
motion carries. Appointment of legal agent for the township, and this is pretty critical because we're going to have a grant request coming in from the PDR in the next couple of days. That's got to get signed by whoever our legal signature is.
I think that's pretty easy. It's got to be able to do with the office. Yeah, right.
sounds like John may be busy.
Well, I
Tony's giving me the evil look right now.
The evil eye.
I don't know what people are seeking. There's 3 examples here. I don't know if there's going to be more. On its face, I wouldn't necessarily pick the same signer for each of these 3 things, but we can.
When Mike was doing all this before, right?
Yeah. But like for PDR, I'd be inclined to nominate Shelley because she's there at the front of that, and for the Metro Act, I'd be inclined to nominate Dan. And for IVS, I think you're talking about the collections, right?
Yeah.
I would nominate you.
You don't want me in charge of phones, John?
No,
It needs to be that
Well,
complicated.
we're going,
I don't know if it needs to be that complicated. I mean, these are,
I think you just want one person.
yeah, that we can talk about and, you know, there's a decision. I mean, I don't think you're unilaterally going to be doing something.
right, hopefully not. We do have a situation with IVS. We have a second company that is asking us to send our receivables to them.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, and we've sort of come to the office staff has sort of come to the conclusion that perhaps it's time to find a new phone service, because we're not sure about the solvency of ideas. And Bill is actively seeking potential candidates. So anyway, if something comes up, I'll be glad to make a decision on it if it is urgent. But I don't think that it will be urgent.
Well, the legal agent signs at the direction of the board. The legal agent doesn't make the decision to sign.
Yeah, so there's a resolution to be passed tonight, a legal agent has to sign.
Yeah. Yeah, which is you.
It's up to supervisors. So I'll make a motion to appoint Tony as the legal agent for the township until the new supervisors appointed.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, do we want to do a single vote? Yeah.
It's not mine.
It's not like, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations, Tony.
There should be anything come up for
The PDF. Okay, fire board negotiating team is next on this list.
So are we gonna now authorize Tony to sign these 3 documents?
She's the authorized signatory, right?
The CERTNET
Who
is on the
signs?
agenda. We can talk about CERTNET.
Mhm. It's on there.
So I made a statement earlier, and I'm not sure I've made myself clear, that the legal agent signs at the direction of us.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the legal agent makes the decisions what to sign and what not to sign.
I think that, at least in the case of the PDR,
And
they did make that decision without the board.
Is that the 210,000?
No, they apply to, like, I can't remember if it's state or federal, but they get invited, or sometimes they seek out grants. So when this one, I think he was asked to apply, so he only has a 2-week turnaround, and it's got to be signed by somebody in order to get it.
This is just an application.
He has an
for-
application for money to help, yeah, to support one of these.
It's not nothing, but it's.
No, right, right.
It doesn't involve committing.
No, I don't think that we can approve that one.
And we're talking about SurfNet, and IBS will bring to the board before we make a change, and we'll have someone in place for it. So we should be good. If something odd comes up, we need 4 people for a quorum, and we could call a
That's right.
special meeting. If something very strange happens that requires a.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. All right, fire board negotiating team.
I shared with the Dexter Township Supervisor and the Dexter City Mayor that we were without a supervisor, and just suggested that we postpone our next meeting or until we have a supervisor who can fill that role, assuming that individual wants to, or otherwise we'll have to make some other decision.
Were they amenable to that?
I didn't receive any pushback.
I did. They twisted my arm and I said no.
Oh, meaning someone wanted you to take that role?
Those 2 gentlemen came up on me and said they wanted me to be the 3rd person, and I told them in my role as the area-wide person, I can't fulfill that obligation and my responsibilities to this township. But we don't have to appoint a board member.
at least, it sounds like we got time. In another couple weeks, we'll be fully staffed.
Where does
Month.
It's last Tuesday of the month.
Last Tuesday.
Do you think that you could bring a new person up to speed that doesn't give them, about a week and a half? Do you think you could bring them up to speed on what's happening there in that amount of time?
Certainly give it a good shot.
Okay.
And the bottom line, this is not an agenda item, so I don't know why, maybe we shouldn't get into it.
Well, it is an agenda item, it's housekeeping, 10D.
Well, in terms of strategy,
But it seems like you're saying we don't need to find somebody for the meeting in a week and a half. Is that okay with waiting?
well, as I mentioned, I received a thank you for notification from one and nothing from the other, so.
Okay. Last one on this list, unless we think of something else critical. Insurance point person, this is healthcare facilities, I suppose, yeah, kind of the healthcare we just looked at. I'm sorry, the facility insurance we looked at. Anyone offering? Tony?
I spent, I would be glad to be the temporary point person for healthcare and debt.
Okay.
Because I don't think we're going to have to deal with anything.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right. Sounds like a motion. So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Thank you, Tony. Okay.
Can I vote?
Yeah, you can vote.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were moving on.
That's okay, no. All in favor of appointing Tony to manage the insurance, both healthcare and facilities as interim? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, there is nothing else on this specific list of housekeeping actions that need to be immediately managed between now and the time the supervisor comes aboard, unless somebody else has one on the list you didn't think of. Okay. All right, next we have staffing for hall rentals.
There's nothing. On this, there's nothing in your packet. What it amounts to is that if the board desires to have the hall or properties rented, the facilities, they need to determine how they plan to staff that. In the past, it's been handled in a sort of an informal manner by the supervisor, Mr. Kingsley, the clerk's office, the deputy, whoever would step up. Perhaps it would be a good idea if someone were designated as responsible for seeing that staffing is available. And you need, if you are going to say, yes, we will rent the hall, you need to make a determination about such things. Okay? It's just kind of happened in the past, and I can't promise that it will happen in the future.
Do we have any rentals coming up?
We do.
Four? In the next month?
Summer.
So is this just something we want to think about right now?
I think you should definitely think about it.
Yeah.
Just because there is a cost involved, it is not fruitful.
What are you guys thinking about? Are you thinking about having an attendant in the building during the rental?
That's for the board to that's for the board to decide, John, because now we have so much technology that could be potentially damaged. You may want to revisit the deposit amount. You may want to revisit whether or not they're allowed to have use of the technology, because that question is going to be coming up. They already ask about, folks who are talking to us, ask about use of microphones and so on, and this is just an extension of that. So I think you need to give some serious thought to, do you want to rent it? Other municipalities do not rent their facilities for these kinds of reasons. So I'm just, it's not just the old town hall anymore. And you can give Joe a key and, Joe will give it back to you, and we have different security measures set up now with our key fobs and so on. So it's just something to think about.
So we've made commitments for 4 events.
We have, yes, based on our policy that's in place now. Do you want us to pause?
When is the next event?
We'd have to check the calendar, Dan. Do you want me to send out a list of these? Maybe to the, it's not a violation of the Open Meetings Act to just send out a list of commitments.
For these coming up ones, Melina and I have both featured available.
Oh, we haven't addressed the future and the fact that we now have all this technology that can be damaged accidentally.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on what the event is, and that's mobile, so that would be in a secure location.
Yeah, but these are not. So I will send out these commitments that we've made. If you want there to be a moratorium on accepting more, we can certainly do that. And quite rightfully, because we're having some construction done on the windows and whatnot. So
I like the idea of putting a moratorium on it,
For now.
so we can figure it out.
When does the construction on the windows start?
that will be up to Mr. Kleinschmidt, and I don't know how to say Rich's last name, Delarue.
Rich.
Yeah.
Do we need to do a motion to put a pause on it?
Doesn't hurt.
Okay. Somebody like to move that.
I move to put a moratorium, a pause on hall rental until we get the specific staffing and it sounds like insurance stuff too. I mean, that could be an issue. So until we get that straightened out.
The other thing, other than just the rentals, is the Historical Society has events, the hall, bathroom, the filter is open for use of that.
Bathrooms are usually.
It's really a rental, but it still requires somebody.
To be present.
Yeah.
In the past, Mr. Kleinschmidt has had, he's been the deputy. He's had the ability to, because he's also serves on the Historical Society, he's had the ability to come and open doors and close doors and that sort of thing. Now he's not the deputy, but John has been appointed the facilities manager, so.
But it's still on planning.
The thing that nobody's mentioned is that some of our people the building from their couch.
Well,
In the
let's
past,
not,
the only involvement was unlocking the door and locking it when they were done, and that can all be done remotely now.
Yeah, but you can't check the bathroom, make sure everybody's out.
Destroyed or
No,
something.
but some of the people in this building can also monitor these cameras remotely.
That's definitely something to consider. We didn't get a second on the motion, if we still want to move forward with it.
Yeah, second.
we can discuss the Historical Society at their needs, maybe at another time. Do they have anything coming up, the Historical Society, between now and July? In August, okay, we'll have plenty.
Okay, so all in favor of putting a moratorium on hall rentals? Say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Siren survey, that was pretty definitive.
Has Steve seen the results?
I don't know, he's not here today either.
I think he's not in the state.
Is there a time duration for this? This is just over 1,200 responses.
The only time, sorry, Dan, the only time limiting factor would be if we are going to put forward a millage, we have to have the language crafted by July 28th. I was thinking it was August.
So there's no time deadline on this siren survey, it's still live.
Oh.
July 10th.
Okay, July 10th.
So I guess we've got to wait until
Yeah,
that time.
So just over 1,200 people responded. Just over 1,100 said they can hear outdoor sirens when they're on. 29 said they cannot. Interested in installing sirens? 70 people said yes. Over 1,100 said no. 13 neutral. Then there's a question how people heard about the tornado on April 15th. Mixed bag. And then the last question was essentially, would you support financially? And 60 said yes. And 1146 said no. So even people that were interested, that was 70, only 60 wanted to pay for it. So I think we should wait to see what the results are in July, after it expires the 10th of July.
Okay.
Just
Oh, okay.
I just said agreed.
Oh, okay. Okay, then correspondence.
Although we have G.
Oh, shoot, thank you. G, permit for reserve near wireless.
Did you look that over there?
Yes, so this is related to the Michigan Metro Act, which was signed into law in 2002. And it is a law which was designed to stimulate the availability of affordable high-speed internet and developed an authority to oversee that. Essentially, per the act, as you might imagine, is to encourage competition, encourage the introduction of new services, new providers, new technology, increase investment in telecommunication infrastructure. Also may improve opportunities for economic development, and then to streamline the process for authorizing access and use of public right-of-way. That's the act. So this entity, Surf Air Wireless, has submitted an application, which is they're required to do, along with making a $500 required permit fee. And the act requires that the municipality take action within 45 days. However, Section 15(3) indicates 45 days, and the municipality shall not, the approval shall not be unreasonably denied by the municipality. So we really, you know, we can say yes or no, but, well, and time's expired, so because we've done nothing formally, it's going to play out for us anyway.
We did cash the check.
And we've cashed the check, evidently. Now, I will note that this is for public right-of-way. It does not include federal, state, or private right-of-way. So private roads will not have the right to extend facilities into private roads unless they go to that, the members of that private road and seek easements specifically from them, I would assume. The other item here of note that tree trimming is part of this. The company may trim trees upon overhanging the public right away so to prevent the branches of such trees coming in contact with the telecommunication facilities, consistent with any standards adopted by the municipality. And except in emergencies, all trimming of trees in the public right of way shall have the advance approval of the manager. The manager is defined as the supervisor or his or her designee. So they should seek approval to trim trees. And then they also were to provide a map. I haven't had a chance to look at that. I don't know if they provided anything.
No, we have it, we just don't have the software that can open it.
So it seems reasonable that we ask them for a, seems reasonable to ask them for a copy of the map, hard paper, paper copy. It does say